Welcome to the Viva Vegan podcast with me, Faye.
And me, Lex.
And this month we have got the very funny Preacher Lawson. Lawson is kind of known for his appearances on season 12 of NBC's hit series America's Got Talent, where he made it to the final rounds. Based off his stellar performances, Preacher Lawson was invited to compete on America's Got Talent, The Champions, and Britain's Got Talent, The Champions. He got to the final after he received the most vote from the fans, and we had the pleasure of catching up with him just after Vegan Camp Out earlier this year. Hello, Preacher Lawson, and welcome to the Viva Vegan podcast.
How you doing?
Very well, thank you. For our listeners, we're most interested about your kind of journey into veganism. So can you tell us a little bit about how that started?
It took a long time. I remember having a dog. That's where it sparked from. When I had people used to say how dogs are like their kids. They're like, that's like my kid. I'm like, I'm like, you just don't have any friends. That's why I was like, you don't have any friends. You talking about it's like your kid. It can't be your kid. It's another species, And I remember being like, if I was in another country, people would have, if you was in another country, would you, like if you was in another country, would you eat a dog? And I was like, I'd try it out. I don't care. I'd try it out. What's the difference? I just like, there's no difference. There's humans and there's animals. That's why I was like, there's humans and there's animals. I'll eat a dog. I never had a dog at this point. Then there was a girl I really liked. I liked her a lot. And she was like, hey, you want a dog? And I was like, this is my chance. And so I decided, the only reason I got a dog, because I liked this girl. And I was like, maybe she'll be my girlfriend. Maybe she'll be my girlfriend if I take this dog. Not knowing a dog is like a whole responsibility. And then it was like maybe 2 days. And I was like, oh my gosh, I have a dog, like it took a second for it to kick in. I was like, I got to take you to the vet. I got to feed you. I got to stay. If you got, when you walk outside, I got to clean up after you just come in. That's like walking with no shoes outside. Then you come to my house, start walking, jumping on my couch. You know what I mean? So I was like, there's so many things I got to worry about. I got to walk you. You got to pee. If I don't take you out enough time, you're going to pee on the floor. So it's just, I was like, this is such a, and it's just so much responsibility. And then I fell in love with my dog. And I was like, oh, this is what they mean by your dog is like your child. Because it's like you can still love, maybe not love it the same as your blood, but you still love it. Like I love that dog more than I love some of my family members. You know what I mean? I don't even like some of my family members. So it's like, I feel like, but I just fell in love with my dog. And then I found out pigs were smarter than dogs. And I was like, that's pretty weird that we're eating pigs and they're smarter than dogs. And then I always thought about that. And then I did in 2016, I did a festival. I did a comedy competition. And there's a comedian named Pat Birch. He's a comedian, Canadian comedian. Very funny. He's vegetarian. And I asked him why he was vegetarian. He said he did a commercial with a bunch of animals. He's like, I can't eat them anymore. And then he was like talking about how like he has a friend that's like vegetarian, but when he goes out in the country, he likes to taste the food or the culture or whatever. So then he's not necessarily vegetarian. And I was like, oh, I could do that. I'll try it out. I'll try being vegetarian. I'll do the thing where if I leave the country, I'll try out some of the food maybe and whatever. And then I don't know how we got on. I don't know how, as me and my ex were there. And I don't know how we started watching this documentary. But we were watching a documentary where they were like killing elephants for their tusk, just for their tusk. So they'd waste the whole body. And then they would just use the tusk. And I was like, man, that's so messed up how they're exploiting these animals. Pass the wings. I can't believe. Let me get some of that burger. I can't believe they're exploiting these animals. I'm just like eating all these animals. And I'm like looking at them that like they're wrong. Like I seen an article like yesterday where they're like people are so happy because this dog was like in a car and it was hot. And then the police officer that saved the dog, they're like, oh, I'm going to adopt the dog. And people are like, you're a good police officer. You're adopting the dog. And the person that had the dog in the car is in jail for 10 years. It's like, do y'all know how your food is made?
Wow.
It's wild. It's just wild to me, man. Anyway, so I was like, that's messed up. And I was like, I feel like a hypocrite because I'm watching this, watching them exploiting these elephants. And I'm like, it's kind of crazy. Anyway, so I was like, I'll try out being a vegetarian. So I tried out being a vegetarian. I tried it out, and then I did that for like a year, and then me and my girlfriend at the time became a vegan because we know we tried out. We're gonna try it out. At this point, I never thought I'd go back. I mean, not never thought. I thought I was gonna go back. I was like, this is the phase.
Yeah.
I'm doing this for a year, and then I'll try. And then I'll probably go back to eating meat and blah blah. And then I was like, let me try veganism after a year of being a vegetarian. So I was like, let me try veganism. So I went and I tried out being a vegan. And while I was being a vegan, I watched the documentary Earthlings, and I was like, oh, dang, why'd I watch this? Because now I can't go back. People think I want to be vegan, bro. I don't want to do this. I was tricked. Right? I found out what happens, and I can't go back. Everybody does the same thing. Everybody's on Facebook and social media, and then you see these, disturbing videos of them hurting animals, and you're like, get that out of here. I'm not trying to watch this crap. Right? You do the Matrix. Everybody got head movement. Everybody got that Floyd Mayweather head movement when it comes to not watching videos of hurting animals. But when you watch it, it's like I can't go back. I can't. I just know what happens. So it's just like I just found out what happens, and I thought it was horrible. And so I just was like, I became a vegan, and you know how vegans, when they first become vegan, they're crazy militant. I mean, I lost friends, I lost TV shows, and opportunities. Yeah, I lost it because I was like super like pro vegan, like everybody should go vegan. Like you don't see what's happening. Any podcast I will go on, I'm like, the raping and murdering, like I was just too much. And then that's every vegan when they first start, because they're like, you don't see what's happening. And then I slowed down, and then I was like, oh, okay, let me realize that 98.9% of people, I don't know, aren't vegan. Yeah. Like most people are not vegan. So you got to find a way to explain it. And then it was like, that's how, Earthling Ed is so popular. He was a headliner of the festival because he does a really good job of communicating. Like there's a bunch of activists that do great jobs, but he does it in a way where they don't feel like they're being attacked. Because a lot of times people feel like they're being attacked. If someone asks me, why am I vegan? I'm like, because I think rape and murder is wrong. So they have to look in the mirror and be like, oh, I'm okay with rape and murder. So instead of them being like, oh, I hear what you're saying, they're like, you're saying I'm a bad person. It's like, no one's saying you're a bad person. I did it most of my life. Yeah. You know what I mean? I think, bad is relative, but I think that I just know what happens. And I'm like, this is the path I'm going to choose. I'm not attacking anyone. But I think there's better ways to explain it. And then, he does a really good job of doing that. But anyway, that's why I essentially became vegan. And it wasn't for health reasons. But if I didn't feel better, I wouldn't be vegan. A lot of people, people always act like vegan food is nasty. And it's like, bro, vegan food is nasty. I'm not vegan. I don't care how much about these. I don't care about these animals that much. If it's vegan food is nasty, bro, I'd eat a human if it tastes good. But it's like, but veganism, I feel like our food is just so fire. It's so fire. It's just, being at that festival, you had you had all those trucks of food. You had all these different flavors. I mean, they had 3 different fried chickens. And I know I'm Black, and I don't know why that's the first thing I'm bringing up, because there was other stuff. Yeah. But they did have 3 different fried chickens. But there was some fried chicken that was some of the best fried chicken I've ever tasted in my entire life. They had taco stands. They had pizza. They had ice cream. I'm talking about multiple trucks. They had the Chinese food. They had Thai food. They had so many different flavors. They had like a candy one. I mean, it was just there's so many different things. And vegans, we have to be more creative. Yeah. And like I have a bit on stage where I talk about, because I'll tell people I'm vegan, and immediately they're always like chicken. They always say chicken. They never say like, oh, they're like, I like steak or tacos. They're always like chicken. Like, why are you bringing up chicken every time you see me?
I mean, vegan campout was amazing, like you say, for the food. It was so good. They had like Ethiopian food, Malaysian food, and
Caribbean food,
food.
Mediterranean.
It was amazing. Yeah. But that's really good. I think the good thing about vegan campout is great for vegans, but you kind of want to bring non-vegans there so they can actually see the food and get them on side.
I wanted more non-vegans to be. I mean, it was great seeing a bunch of vegans around. That was the cool part of being around like a vegan land, like where there's this many vegans. It was kind of like there's a lot of people that thought alike, so But I that's initially what I thought, what you just said. I was like, I wish my omnivore friends were here, like, so they could see it, you
Yeah,
know?
it's coming a long way. Do you have things like that in the States as well? Because I know vegan campouts, like, it's a huge festival in the UK, but is it like that in America?
No, not that I know of. I think they're doing one. I think they're doing a vegan camp out in America, but no, not that I know of. There's vegan festivals all the time, right? There's always vegan like food trucks. There's no vegan campouts,
Mm.
you know, camp where you're sleeping over. Like, I don't know anything about that. But yeah, I don't know
Sounds like
anything
a
about
cult
that.
when you put it like that, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, but what's wrong with a cult? You know, like everyone always acts like cults are bad. Like, you know, what's wrong with having a healthy cult, bruh? You know, like I mean, it was the coolest cult. I mean, bro, that was the cleanest festival you'll ever be in your life.
Yeah.
It was the cleanest. There was no litter. No one was throwing trash because you're a vegan for three reasons, right? Health, or because you care, ethical reasons, or environmental reasons. And so, no one was throwing trash everywhere. There was no trash. It was clean.
So we'll talk like a little bit about your life as well, just because some of our listeners in the UK, they might have seen, like, they've seen Britain's Got Talent and America's Got Talent, but kind of behind that, you were kind of born in Portland in Oregon, weren't you, in the US? And when you were younger, you'd lived in quite a lot of places.
Yeah, I'm not really from anywhere. You
Yeah.
know, like when people ask me, they're like, "Where are you from?" I'm like, "I'm not. I'll just pick a place, but I'm not really from anywhere." Like I've been the longest I've ever lived anywhere in my life. I was in it was in an apartment in Los Angeles, and it was 3 years.
Mm.
That's the longest I've ever lived in any like house or apartment or home. Right, it was 3 years. So I always move around. But I was born in Portland, but most of my adolescence was in Memphis, Tennessee. So that's yeah, that. But I was, I moved around a lot, and I was I guess I was broke growing up, but I mean, honestly, I had a good life. My life was dope. I had a really good mom. I had really cool family members. I mean, me and my older sibling had the little older sibling, younger sibling rivalry, where it's like, the rivalry where it's like the oldest, like, I done everything by myself. No one helped me, The youngest is like, I'm the youngest, The middle child's like, hey, you guys, I'm alive. You guys don't have to, I'm alive. So that's how it went. But it was like, we were really like tight knit. And yeah, because we kind of had to be because we weren't around like, I guess, other cousins. And yeah, it was great.
How was it for you, like, in terms of making friends and things, or was it hard to do that? Or
yeah, I mean, I guess it was initially easy to make friends. I think keeping friends is hard for me.
yeah.
I think keeping friends is hard for me because I would just make friends and I would leave, make friends, leave, make friends, leave, make friends, leave, make friends. But I mean, now I have like my home for me is like Orlando, Florida, and the friends I made over there, I'm still friends with. So I've been friends with them for over 10 years. Yeah, I don't feel uncomfortable anywhere.
Good.
Any place, I don't feel uncomfortable going to any hood, any suburb, any place I go to, I don't feel uncomfortable.
Nice. So how did you kind of get into comedy? And was that something you've always just been good at? Was that something you did as a kid, or?
Man, I've always been hyper. I don't know if I was good at comedy, but I've been always hyper. I've been loud, I wasn't loud in class though. Like people think I was a class clown, and I was a class clown sometimes. It was only when everyone in the class was quiet, and if everybody was quiet, I'd be like, I'll take it from here. And then I would become the class clown. But for the most part, I was quiet. And but at the house, I was just hyper, man. ADHD, baby.
Yeah.
I don't know if I actually have that, but I'm assuming what everyone else is talking about. I can't focus. So what'd you say? Just going over. So, but yeah, I always like making people laugh. I love entertaining people. And I just love making people laugh. I think it's the coolest feeling ever. And I wanted to be on a sitcom. I wanted to be an actor. I love sitcoms. And so I started doing stand-up just to be on a sitcom. I didn't care about stand-up. And then I did stand-up and I was like, oh, screw sitcom. I was like, this is great. And it's the greatest feeling in the world.
That's really cool. With veganism then as well, how you were saying, like, you don't preach at people, or you don't get too militant at them. Is it easier?
Yeah.
Like, do people feel more comfortable with you when you're doing it in a kind of comedy like sense of it? When you bring it up in your
I mean, I that's another reason. When I first became a vegan, I wasn't really too funny about it. I was just really like, you guys, but I do, I try to slip it in there. I try to slip it in there, and I'll just have people thinking about it because it's ultimately their choice. They're going to either do it or not going to do it. People decided already. I mean, it's like, I mean, it's not like they decided already, but they know. You know what I mean? Like when I was still eating meat, when I had my dog and I wasn't like a vegan, I used to eat a full chicken like every lunch. I used to eat so much, like, I loved meat, and I knew that before that I was like, oh, it's kind of, but I don't care. I just didn't make the connection. So I just try to plant seeds because maybe when they leave my show, they're like, I'm not going to be vegan, but maybe 10 years from now, they're like, oh man, I remember back when he said, let me try it out. Maybe 5 years, maybe 3 years. Maybe they're like, maybe they leave my show, they're like, I'm gonna try out this vegan, whatever. But I do, I'm a vegan, so I'm gonna put it in my set.
Yeah.
I'm Black, so I'm putting it in my set. I'm putting a part of me in my set. So when you see me on stage, I joke about it. It is what it is, and people that know me know I'm vegan.
Yeah. That's good. You can't be anything other than yourself, can you?
Can't be. I can't. Tried it one time, didn't work.
So when a lot of people know you from America's Got Talent in season 12, and how is that for you? I mean, I know you've been doing like some of the comedy shows and things, but that must have catapulted you quite fast.
Yeah, it did. It was pretty crazy. When my first episode aired, I mean, I couldn't even, bro, it was wild. I couldn't even my phone shut off because I was getting so many text messages and calls, follows and all that stuff. It was wild. So yeah, it changed my life. I didn't know how big America's Got Talent was. I mean, I got fans in the UK from America's Got Talent, and then it was really big. I went from not being able to pay my bills to having to pay people's bills. So that's a lot.
Wow, yeah.
You know what I mean? No, but it changed my life a lot. It's like, yeah, I'm super grateful for it. I mean, it's everything I ever wanted. Now I want more stuff. So the finish line is always moving,
Mm. Did you see any of the UK shows for Britain's Got Talent?
I was on it.
You were, weren't you? And yeah, you came over, but you were representing America, right? Was it?
I did. But yeah, it's different. You guys are more weird. I mean, y'all are weird.
You are way more weird.
Yeah, you're just a little bit weird. Even your stand-up comedians are more weird. But I mean, weird is just different, right? So y'all probably look at us and you're like, oh, you guys are weird. Right? You probably think we're weird.
But I can't remember who we had. I think we had Susan Boyle win, like singing like opera, and then we've got a lot of like dog shows, and then we've got Britain's Got Talent's quite different. In America, it seems much more polished.
America's Got Talent, we're just bigger. You guys are like, here's the act. And in America, we're like, here's the act. Like, yeah, we're a little bit more, you guys are straightforward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what did you think of, when you kind of meet these people, like, I know Mel B, I watched some of the clips back, and I think she definitely had a bit of a thing for you.
I was at a girlfriend at the time. I had a girlfriend.
I'm not trying to cause scandal. I was just...
Oh, okay, good. No, I had a girlfriend. I'd have been all over that. But when I went back on, I didn't have a girlfriend. I mean, it was just like I'm good. But she was really cool, man. She was really cool. I think she's on tour right now. But yeah, man, they were great. Are you asking me about? What are you asking me about?
Just finding out about America. Britain's Got Talent and America's Got Talent, really. Don't worry. I'm not putting anything out there. Don't worry, you're safe.
Oh, you putting something out there. She's trying to set me up, y'all. They trying to set me up. I knew it. Get my lawyer on this. No,
with cooking with a comedian as well, that was something that you went into after. Was that...
Yeah.
Have you always enjoyed cooking, or was that something you've kind of found yourself doing more as you got older? Or
not a fan of cooking. Not a fan. I don't like cooking. I like eating though. I mean, I enjoy cooking in the same way like I enjoy anything that takes a long time and then you're like happy about your finished product. I used to draw all the time. I think drawing is boring. And I was really good. I used to draw, like, it just took so long. But when you get to the finished product, you're like, oh my gosh, it's like beautiful. That's how I feel about cooking. But I was trying to show my mom how to make a natural protein shake. It's funny because I used a raw egg when I showed her how to make a natural protein shake because I was a vegetarian at the time.
Yeah.
And then I just eventually started turning into a vegan. So I just made vegan items. And then, it got really popular and I stopped doing it. I stopped doing it, but I think I might mess around and bring it back. We'll see what happens. But yeah, I loved being silly. And I just gave, like most people that watched it, they wouldn't watch for recipes. You know, they were just watching because they were like, oh, this dude's an idiot and he's fun. You know, he's a fun little idiot that I get to watch. So they just watched me be silly, and they, you know, no one really cared about the recipes. There was a few people that were like, oh, I like the recipe, but there's most, I met someone in the UK and at the festival, and they were like, yeah, I used to watch your cooking episodes. I was like, oh, you tried the recipes? I was like, nah, I didn't know. No. But they said in a way like, you fool, you idiot. Why would I? No, that doesn't look nasty. I thought you were funny though. Like it was just
your YouTube channel as well has taken off. You've got like over 500,000 like people now on there. Do you find that?
No, I haven't even been using it. Yeah, I got about 600 and I think 64,000. You know, I got a plan. I'm gonna get back on there, but I took a break for a second. I used to, because especially in 2020, I was posting like every single day because I was stuck in my house. So every day, I was posting.
Yeah.
And then I was like, I'm tired of being on the internet.
Yeah.
So I slowed down. You know, I got 3.1 million followers on TikTok, you know, and I got like, you know, I have the followers on YouTube. I have a couple followers on Facebook and Twitter and all that stuff. But I think it's really cool. I think most of our following doesn't have like social media. I see them in person at shows. You know, so I see them in person at shows, and they come out to shows, and I think that's really cool. But yeah, I really love doing stand-up, and they let me do that. They come out. I can't wait to tour in the UK. You coming?
Oh God, yeah, definitely. I'll definitely be there.
Right, cool.
What are you what's with veganism then and things? I mean, with your touring, like you've said you kind of wanted to do something as well, that you wanted to like move into acting, and do you see yourself doing that in the future, or is comedy kind of what's happening for you now for a long time?
Yeah, I mean, I've been acting. I did a couple things that no one's ever heard of, but I want to, you know, eventually move into things that people know. You know, that's the plan. You know, so I also been working on a web series. I mean, I've been trying to do, you know, a couple things. I audition for things every week. Every week, I'm always auditioning for something. You know, and I just gonna keep doing that. You know, we'll see what happens, but stand-up is my baby. You know, I just love doing stand-up. You know, I would love to host things. I think that'd be really cool. But stand-up is my baby. I just always can fall back on stand-up. I just love being on stage. I love performing. I love messing with the crowd. I love interacting with the crowd. I love involving them in the show. You know, there's nothing like stand-up. Acting is like, it'd be cool to do. You know what I mean? It would be cool to be on screen. But live is nothing like it. There's nothing.
How was it?
Yeah,
I mean, I did drama when I was a kid. I was not good, but I did like it. I was terrible. Britain's Got Talent. Imagine like that with like Britain's Got No Talent. That was me. That was me.
Okay, all right. Let me in my head. I'm imagining right now.
Awful. So kind of like with the vegan message for you then, like, you know, as you continue on going forwards, I know you're delivering is like less militant, but is it something you're going to keep pushing to, like including in your acting and talking to people about? Is that important to you?
Yeah, I think it. I mean, I think it's important to me, but it's kind of like it's not as like I'm not as outspoken at all about it. You know, I mean, I think that I don't take every opportunity to like. I know there's a lot of people that get mad at me. They're like, you know, you're not doing. Some people want me to bleed veganism, you know, but I just don't. That's just a part of who I am, you know. And that some people want me to bleed blackness, you know. They're like, you should be talking about black people doing, and that's like that's just a part of who I am, you know what I mean? Like people on every side of anything. They're like, you need to speak about this and this and that, and it's like I will. I need to find a way to do it without being like I'm not trying to be the vegan comedian. You know what I mean? That's not my goal at all. I was never I've been a comedian longer than I've been vegan. I'm a comedian who's vegan.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm not trying to do a bunch of black jokes. I'm a comedian who's black. You know, so I try to sprinkle. I mean, that's what you see my stand-up, I'm talking about veganism, you know, but I'm just not like, you know, trying to save people at the end. You know, it's like, if you feel like that you then, you know, been thinking about veganism, come to the stage and let me lay hands. Like, you know what I mean? Let me lay some hands on you, some grass and bark dust, and we can, you know. So I'm not trying to like, I'm just not as militant. I know I was so pro-vegan and so like, I would just argue with everybody all day. And I just would just like, I went so far that I'm like, let me just chill out. And I think my role is me just being vegan. And if anybody ever asks me, you ask them, you know?
Yeah.
But I'm not going to throw it out. I'm just not. Veganism is why the reason I put it in my set is because I'm talking about me, you know? So I'm like, oh, vegan. I try to throw it in there. But as far as like, I'm trying to think of like if I was in a movie and they were interviewing me and they were like, what do you think about this? You know, how you feel about doing this movie? It's great, man. I feel like I've been always wanting to play a superhero, you know, that saves, you know, what else saves? Being vegan. And I can't see myself just throwing it in there. But I mean, when the opportunity organically presents itself, I'm always going to be like, you know, I'm always going to be like, because I think that's the right way. I think it's the healthiest way. I just think like what they do to animals, I think it's pretty messed up. But I have to remember that most people aren't vegan. So most people in general are always going to feel attacked. I don't want to feel like I'm attacking people. I want people to feel like, I just want to plant seeds.
Yeah.
And be like, hey, you know, this is how I feel. You know what I mean? But it's cool if you want to do that, but like, hey, you know, they're going to truth, right? You know, a little bit of truth, man. Because people don't know. People don't know. People don't know what's going on. So that's in my set right now is when I talk about vegan. I just kind of like, I make a joke about how, did you see my set?
Vegan Camp Out, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So one of the jokes I do the joke about how I used to think cows had milk all the time. Because if you ask anybody, you're like, hey, where does milk come from? They always say cows. It's like, well, who breastfed you then?
Yeah.
You know, like, who breastfed you? Like, so I have this bit about how it's weird that if I drank milk, if someone just walked in my house and I was drinking milk, and then they were like, what are you drinking? I'm like, milk. I'm drinking that Kimberly. And they're like, what's that Kimberly? It's like, it's my mom's milk.
Yeah.
And then you're like, people would freak, but like, what kind of weirdo drinks milk from their mom? You know, like that's what people would be thinking. But it's like, if you drink milk from a different species, a cow, from someone that didn't create you and has no like genetic, you know, code connected to you, people are like, that's fine. Like people think it's okay. So, I mean, yeah. So it's just, I try to make a joke of it. I try to make light of that because people don't realize how weird that is. Like if I was just drinking milk from my mom, people are like, oh man, that's disgusting. She gave birth to you, you know, drink something else. But it's hard to like, it's really hard to make that like, it's hard to make that funny, you know, but that's what I do. I want to make that funny. I just want to be myself. I want to be myself. And if people don't like myself, that's fine. But I don't want to be too much of anything. You know, I'm not leaning too much anywhere. I am a level 7 vegan. I found that out at Vegan Camp. I'm a level 7 vegan where I don't eat or wear any animal products. I wouldn't date a girl that's not vegan.
Oh, really?
And I wouldn't date a non-vegan. Yeah. No, I wouldn't date none. That's still level 7 though.
Yeah.
Because there's people that are like, I'm not going on planes. You can't eat meat near me. You know, I'm like, most of my friends are vegan, you know, so like they, you know, but I have a rule. I'm not paying, like I'll pay for, if I go out to eat with anybody and it's vegan, I pay for it.
Yeah.
That's
fair.
my rule. But if you order something that's not vegan, I'm just not going to pay for it. Some people are like, I'm not even at the same table as you. I'm level 7. Yeah. But no, I wouldn't date a non-vegan.
Interesting. I have this conversation a lot. I'm like, I'd probably date a vegetarian because like
you have to. That's different.
Yeah, like if
you know what I mean?
Have to, but I could, you know, just the idea of keeping meat in a fridge and eggs and stuff is like,
But I don't think it's wrong for you to have to date an omnivore, and he can compromise. But the reason I don't think it's wrong is because 83% of vegans are women. So I don't have, like, I have more to pick. Like, you don't have.
I'm gay.
You know what I mean?
I can pick them.
Oh, well, then you can't date no non-vegan then? What
Exactly.
are you talking about?
I can only date
You
vegan.
can't do it. I'm judging you.
I
am judging you. Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, that's the only reason I'm doing it. I'm not dating I can't do it. Are you kidding me? I feel like most gay women are vegan. So
yeah,
like
exactly.
you gotta
That's not why I'm gay.
Yeah.
What?
Oh, okay.
I
I mean, that'd be a weird reason why you'd be gay. Like,
why are you vegan? Wow.
oh man.
Yeah,
No, but I
definitely on that. It's like it's a really hard one because if you go for dinner with someone, it's going to be difficult watching them eat meat in like front of you, and you're like, ah.
Yeah, I can imagine someone I'm dating eating meat. I just can't. I can't. I think as I get older, I'll probably be more open to the idea of dating someone that's not vegan, and I have like a rule, be like, well, in my house, it's got to be vegan, but outside the house type thing. I don't know. I mean, it depends how lonely I'll become. But right now, I'm like, I can't see myself dating a vegan. You know, I mean, non-vegan. Excuse me. I can't see myself dating a vegan. You know, I gotta be the only vegan. I need all the vegan powers inside the relationship. No, yeah. So I can't see myself dating a non-vegan right now.
What do you think the future of veganism is looking like? Because it's getting bigger and like it's getting like so many more people are aware of it and interested in it now. But even in 10 years, it's changed a lot.
Oh, it's changed so much. You know, I'm a vegan. If you told me 10 years ago I was going to be a vegan, I would have laughed in your face. First off, I didn't know what a vegan was. I think it's obviously got to change. You know, it's still going to change. They got lab meat coming out. And, so that's just going to, sustainability. So it's going to be changed. 10 years from now, it's going to be weird.
Yeah.
It is. It's going to be weird. You know, remember 10 years ago when people were just, was it 10 years ago? I would say maybe 15 years ago. I don't know if it was like the UK, but like I would say like 20 years ago. I mean, people were just openly homophobic. You know, people are still homophobic now.
Oh yeah.
Right. But I just remember people just being openly like, no, this person's gay. I don't want to be around this person because they're gay and blah, blah, blah. And then now we're just transphobic. Right. And so, right. But in like 20 years from now, it's going to be like, robophobic, like robots. They're gonna be like, you know what I mean? Like people are gonna be like, I like this robot, and be like, nah, man, get you a human. You're like, you can't tell me who I love. I love AI, Isha. You know, it's just gonna be this full thing, but it's like we're always gonna be, because now we're like we're okay with gay people, right?
Yeah.
There's still people that's homophobic, but like now we're like, nah, we don't like trans people. And then it's like it's gonna get better. People are gonna accept trans people, and then we're gonna find something else to hate. You know what I mean? It's just gonna like, I don't know. So, but I'm trying to figure out in 20 years, what's going to be a thing.
Yeah.
You know?
I can't even think that far. Like in 20 years. Yeah.
I think it's going to be robots, man. I think it's going to be robots. Like people already fall in love with robots. People are already falling in love with I mean, robots are already doing. Did you see that robot that played chess with that Chinese dude, little boy? No. And then the robot lost the chess game, and then he got angry and he broke the kid's finger.
Oh my God, really?
Yes. First off, how I thought he was a robot.
Yeah.
How can he not calculate a win against a human little boy? But also, that means they focus way more on just not the thought of the robot being smart, but on emotion. Because he got mad and broke the kid's finger. Isn't that wild that the robot got upset and broke the kid's finger? And you know they didn't destroy the robot. Because if a dog bites a little boy, they're like, well, we got to kill the dog now. But the robot, they're like, all right, let's go fix some things in it.
Are they like programming them with like anger inbuilt and like, because I read something.
Yeah, they programmed with anger.
Yeah, I read about a robot and it was like scanning loads of human books and essays, and then it started becoming racist. And you're like, no, robot, no, robot, don't do that.
Oh, is that really what happened?
I think so. And it started picking up weird prejudices, and it was like, some of them started to not make sense because they just like borrowed them. So it was like weird stuff. And you're like, oh, no.
Oh, man, that's funny.
Don't learn from
It's not funny.
No, it's terrifying.
Yeah, it is kind of terrifying. But yeah, 20 years from now, watch. 20 years from now. 20 years from now, I'll be 51.
Oh, wow. Oh, God, I'll be 56.
Are you ready for it?
No.
Are you ready for
Never.
your 50s? Are you ready? Yeah,
Definitely not. Oh,
me neither.
well, thank you so much for chatting to us. It was really nice to have you on the show.
Oh, thank you for having me. I appreciate it. It means a
No,
lot.
and when you get over to the UK, I'll come and see you.
Okay, cool. Definitely come and see me. It's gonna be fun.
Excellent. Well, thanks so much for that. And yeah, you take care.
Thank you. Have a good one. Take care.
Take care. Bye. He is crazy. He did make me laugh a lot, but wow, what a roller coaster of an interview. It went a bit all over the place, didn't it?
Well, I'd never heard of Preacher Lawson before, so I was kind of a bit intrigued after listening to the interview. And I went and watched part of his, I haven't seen it all, but I did go back and watch his Getting to Know Me show. It's available on Amazon. So I did watch the first bit of that. And it is interesting because he starts it and he's talking a little bit about America's Got Talent. And then it's just such a simple joke, but I thought it was so funny because the person that beat him, the Champions version, I think, I've never watched it, so I think they're two different shows. But he made this joke about the winner being a ventriloquist, and he just said that he couldn't believe that he'd been beaten by this girl who didn't even open her mouth. And so I was just like, yeah, okay, that's pretty funny. But I thought that, and this comes across in the interview as well, because I thought that a lot of his kind of stories, which obviously stand-up comedians use a lot of like real life stuff to make their jokes about, seems to be to do with dating.
Yeah, a lot of it.
So
lots of ex-girlfriends.
So there was a big part of your conversation about dating, and I want to know, because I didn't quite understand where this level 7 vegan comes from. And I want to know what this scale is and what Preacher deems to be like a level 2 vegan, and what, is there a level 10? Like where do we
fall?
Yeah, where do we fall on that scale? What is the scale? So I think we need to probably follow up potentially on that with him.
I think so too. Well, he's coming to the UK, so we'll be able to go and see him when he does perform live, so that'll be good. Yeah, he was great to talk to, but it's one of those things, you do the research on somebody beforehand and then you realise a lot of, like you say, he's drawing on his real life experiences, and it just comes across the way he chats naturally, I think.
Yeah, definitely. And, it is interesting that he has this very similar story to many people probably even listening to this journey into veganism, because, it took him a long time, and he talks a lot about the impact that having a dog had on him, and then watching these documentaries where elephants' tusks are being taken, and he's outraged by this exploitation, but then, is looking and starting to reassess what's on his own plate, and then feels quite hypocritical because, he's outraged by the treatment of one animal, but then is kind of condoning the other by eating them. And
it's the speciesism,
isn't exactly. It's that whole debate. And, for anybody that's not seen Earthlings, it's such a traumatic documentary. I challenge anybody to watch that and not go vegan.
Yeah.
I don't know how that's possible.
It's horrible.
And I never even wanted to see Dominion, but I feel like Dominion is the same thing, where it's 2.5 hours of just being punched constantly in the face, and it's just awful. So, fair play to anybody that sits through it, but you watch that, you have to go vegan.
It's true. I like that about him. He's really honest as well. And he's just funny. He's saying, yes, so these were the reasons I went vegan, but in all honesty, if the food didn't taste good, I wouldn't stay vegan.
Yeah.
But he makes a compelling point there as well, when people are saying, oh, it's expensive to be vegan, the food isn't as good, it doesn't taste as good. He's kind of using that layman's terms of, well, if it wasn't, I wouldn't be.
Yeah.
So, I like that. He's very down to earth, and it's nice as well. We get a lot of people on the podcast who've come into it through animal rights or through health and fitness. So it was nice for him to kind of just come to it as somebody who owned a dog to impress a woman.
Yeah, because it all seems to stem back to impressing women.
It does,
doesn't it? So, yeah, his journey is all about getting a date, I suppose. But, it is nice that he talks a lot as well about his approach to being an advocate for veganism, because he's not somebody that wants to be necessarily militant. And I hate using that word anyway, because if you're passionate about something, it doesn't mean that you're a militant, or, you're not ramming it down somebody's throat just because you feel that you're impelled to speak up for animals. And he sees that his role's not just about him being vegan, I guess. So he uses jokes to get people to start thinking for themselves. And, you know, we say quite a lot about planting these seeds. So all these jokes about drinking breast milk and what kind of weirdo would drink milk from like their mom, let alone like another species. So like, yeah, you ask a 32-year-old man, oh, what are you drinking? Oh, just a bit of milk. And it's like, oh, your mom's milk? No, it's not my mom's milk. What? It's a cow's milk. Ew. It like, it's that gross factor, and I like that comedy value of it, I suppose, in many ways.
Yeah, especially because we're not allowed to be funny. People seem to think of vegans as humorless, don't they?
Serious all the time. Yeah.
Well, even I was called a tolerable vegan. So it was great to have him as a guest on the show. Really enjoyed chatting to him. It did go off and meander all over the place, but it was a lot of fun. So thank you very much, Preacher.
Yeah, cheers for the laughs, Preacher. And don't forget, if you enjoyed this episode, please do rate, review and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.